Welcome to R&R Showtime with Robert
and Ryan.
And today we will be talking about, or at least what if
The new
episodes 1 and 2.
the new Marvel series to Disney Plus, because it's just been so long. I've felt empty this month.
Yeah, I know. Bad Batch is nice and all, but it's not Marvel. So
yeah. So, what did you think of What If?
So first impressions of What If,
Both episodes,
Captain
each
Carter?
episode individually.
Yeah. What If Captain Carter? And I'm just going to basically say for sort of both of them. And what if T'Challa was Star-Lord? Honestly, before the show came out, I didn't even really care. I was like, oh, that looks all right. That's kind of cool. Whatever. Like, I wasn't. I was like, I'm gonna watch it, but I was not excited about it. It wasn't something I was looking forward to. And after watching these episodes, I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is literally amazing. Like, it's just great. And I think it's funny that both the first episode, Captain Carter, really feels like they took basically the plot of a whole movie and they put it into whatever it is, 30 or 45 minutes or something.
Yeah.
They condensed it all down, so it just feels like it's all the meat, it's just the good stuff. It's just wham, she becomes, it's not to say I don't need to see those things in the first Avenger,
but all of those more small details in setting up the world, we've already seen that, so we don't need any addressing what the world is. We don't need Red Skull to be introduced because we already know all these characters from the movie, so they're able to streamline the process.
Yeah, exactly. And I think basically the same point in episode 2 with T'Challa. We don't need to learn about exactly who Yondu is and why he's going to do this and that. We just actually know who all these characters are, so they just get to throw us in with them. And there's just something about that just makes it so we just get these really fun, tight stories that in the end it almost makes me think maybe this should have been what happened.
So yes, I firmly agree with that. On the first, I think Captain Carter definitely leaves you thinking this feels like a better world. Whereas the second one at least gives you a reason at the end to think, oh, this is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get into that.
Yeah, I mean, in the first one, it's they developed an Iron Man suit in the 40s.
Exactly.
They have the power of the Tesseract immediately. And it's not to say the Tesseract was they were experimenting with it, but they didn't use it openly. But it's okay, they clearly use the Tesseract, so they're probably just going to clearly keep using it going forward. You imagine Bucky never became the Winter Soldier, so he never kills Tony's parents. There's a million what ifs to the future and stuff. But
yeah.
Clearly, there's a necessity for a shield in the future because Nick Fury and Hawkeye still exist in the future and bring Captain Carter out of the portal.
But this time, that bringing back in the Tesseract and everything, yeah, it leaves a lot of questions up in the air, but it feels like a better world. And so, okay, well, we're still in first impressions. So my first impression, it's interesting you would say that you that this show didn't really interest you, because I definitely was okay, this show can be literally so crazy. I'm so interested to see what it was. And honestly, the Captain Carter one, while I liked it, there was a part of me that was well, yeah, this is cool, but I was hoping for something wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
And then watching the T'Challa episode was just okay, yeah, this is wildly different. All right, yeah, this is what I was expecting.
Yeah, Captain Carter doesn't even seem too far of a stretch. It's she's in the same room and she ends up getting the machine instead of
Captain Carter, the first Avenger. That's literally what this episode is.
Yeah, exactly. But episode 2, yeah, with T'Challa becomes Star-Lord, that's just everything is different now.
Yeah, it throws out the entirety of the Guardians plot. 3 of the Guardians we don't even see.
Yeah, because they're supposedly just off doing their own thing. Nebula is a decent person. Drax doesn't even. He's just running a bar.
His wife and kids are with him.
Yeah, because Thanos didn't kill them, or not Thanos. Ronan. Ronan was not killing
the
them,
Kree.
Right? Yeah. So it's like, yeah, because those things didn't happen. Like, it's just, yeah, it's something else. So, but I guess we should get into a quick recap, and we can, chat more about them.
Yeah. So we'll start with Captain Carter. Have you seen Captain America: The First Avenger? It's that, but Peggy instead of Steve.
Peggy Carter.
Also, they what's Tony's the old Howard Stark?
Yeah, Howard Stark.
Howard Stark invents an Iron Man suit with a Tesseract.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's just that explosion that was supposed to happen after Steve becomes Captain America, or gets a super soldier serum, happens before he's injured. Captain Carter gets in there, or Peggy Carter gets in there. She becomes super soldier instead. Because they don't care about women or whatever in the 40s. They're like, they don't even try to put her on the USO tour show. And instead of her not wasting time on the USO tour show, they go on a secret mission and they recover the Tesseract before they even start experimenting using it for weapons. So they just have it. And instead, Howard builds an Iron Man suit using it. And then they do everything that they did in the Captain America movie, which is like bust down Hydra stuff and all this and that. Basically, same things happen. There's a train scene where, they are invading it and somebody gets blown off. But instead of Bucky, who is just saved by Captain Carter, it is Steve in the Hydra Stomper, which is what that version of the Iron Man suit is.
Yeah. And
in this way, Hydra recovers the Tesseract and Steve. They have him captured and the Iron Man suit. The Hydra Stomper suit.
Yeah.
They go on a mission. They rescue him in the castle, and they have to fight off some eldritch horror that is coming out of the portal, which was in this one. Red Skull's new plan was not to, do whatever he did in the first Avenger, but to just summon some kind of freaking, Cthulhu.
I imagine in the first one he got interrupted before he was able to execute the specific plan.
I think that this is like an alternate plan, though. I don't think like he was planning to summon a crazy
like
monster,
because he has the Tesseract at different times in this one, so his plans for it probably were modified. So, but as a result of this portal and this eldritch horror looking thing coming into existence, instead of Captain America crashing and being frozen for a century, instead Peggy goes into the portal to stop the being and does not come out until
the moment when in Avengers, where they were using the Tesseract and ended up opening a portal that summoned Loki, it instead releases Captain Carter.
Yes.
Instantly, like across
along
time.
With some cut up tentacles, implying that she made short work of the monster once she got in there.
Yeah. So, and that's basically it. I mean, there's not much to it other than that it is the story of the first Avenger with the slight differences. And yeah, you just get this idea where you're just like, this is kind of better. Like, even to say like, it almost makes more sense that like, okay, we can all just accept like whatever. Steve's a super soldier, so sure he can freeze in the ice and still be alive X amount of years later, even though that's not how anything works at all as far as biology. But saying she goes through a portal and is transported through time and space to a new, like, that actually makes way more sense. Like actual, like physics sense. She goes through a black hole or a wormhole and comes out at a different time.
Yeah. And you still get the presumption that like if this world operates roughly in a similar way that the old one did, that maybe at some point she'll be able to go back in time and get that dance with Steve, which I love that was still like even with like little shrimpy Steve and buff Peggy, like they still like, because it really shows that Peggy wasn't like into the super soldier Peggy like Steve all along. And so it just feels nice to see them still like just so like keen on each other. Mm-hmm. And I've seen like a lot of pictures of her like holding him up because he's just so shrimpy, and I just think it's cute.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and it's quite fan servicey in a way as well.
Yeah, it's just good to see that. I mean, the reason that she liked Steve and that he was ever picked was because of his heart. and not because, you know, of his strength or any of those things. So, I mean, yeah, it's just good to see that that's still true. It's not because he was ultra buff super soldier man.
And he still gets to be a hero. He still gets to be the Hydra Stomper.
Yeah, the Hydra Stomper. And probably, yeah, and like, who knows? So I guess he's Iron Man going forward? Like, again, what a reality, right?
Yeah, because so they got rid of the Hydra scientist who like infiltrated what would become S.H.I.E.L.D. was
already captured.
Yeah, but
no, but so that's the whole point though, is that like at
he
the end
got
of the war,
captured and he was left alive. But this one had to deal with Peggy's interrogation where he gave away where Hydra was located. So theoretically, he can still go in and infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.D., which is maybe why we still have problems in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's going to be perfect, of course.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that they basically made the deal with the devil, and it's just the whole idea of like after World War II is that we took all their German scientists and stuff. And that was the same thing there. They were like, all right, you know, even though you're bad, we're going to use your intelligence to build the weapons that we need to protect against the real bad guys.
Yeah.
And all the time that's, you know, Hydra just, you know, slowly infiltrating through S.H.I.E.L.D.
What happened to the Tesseract originally? It was lost, right? Or they didn't have it the whole time, did they?
No, I don't remember. You know, it's like maybe I should go back and watch First Avenger. I did this. Watching Captain Carter did make me want to watch the First Avenger again.
Yeah. I honestly,
but I don't remember. I think the whole idea of like what was happening in First Avenger was that like
I thought it went down in the ship with him. I thought he had the Tesseract, and so wherever he was, that's where the Tesseract was.
Yeah, that might have been it. And I think that it was that they were launching like nuclear bombs or something. They made nuclear bombs with the Tesseract, and all these planes were flying out, and they like stopped a bunch of them, but they couldn't stop the one that Steve was on. There was no way to destroy it or land it, or there was no way to like autopilot it away or destroy it without it blowing up. So he just landed it. He crashed it into the ice.
Here's something I want to say about Captain America: The First Avenger. I watched that movie later than I should have. I watched it after Avengers 2 because I didn't care to watch the Captain America movies until they made Captain America Civil War. And I was like, well, I got to see this, but it's a Captain America movie, so I should know more about him. I should know more about Bucky. And so I went back and I watched First Avenger and Winter Soldier. And when I've never been that big into Captain America, honestly. But when I watched First Avenger, I was like, this movie's good. Like I honestly think the first Captain America is an underrated film. Like it is, and it's a very similar film to Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman, in a lot of ways. I would say the Wonder Woman movie is maybe a little better in certain areas, but I actually think that they are quite comparable films in a lot of ways. I think the only weak part of First Avenger is when he's on the USO show. I think that part's boring and you just kind of feel bad for him being paraded around.
See, but I think that's the point of that part of it. It's supposed to be like, this is a waste of his talent and time, and you're supposed to feel like, what is this? This is dumb. Like, why isn't Captain America being Captain America? And that's what even he's thinking.
It serves a good purpose narratively, but it's also dumb. It's also a waste of time.
Yeah. Hey, you montage all the cool action scenes later, but you can't montage the USO show more? Like, make it shorter? Like, we can get the idea with very short scene that he's been on a USO show for a few months or something.
So, and this version fully cuts the USO out. So, again, improved.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cut down. It's just the meat. It's the good stuff of the first Avenger. So
yeah, so I think First Avenger is a good movie, and so having this recount the plot, but like from a different like parallel, what if vantage point, I thought it was cool. Again, though, it was so like it was different. Like clearly things were different in this world. Mm-hmm. Like the Hydra Stomper, I think alone was like a cool, like, oh shit, what if the Hydra Stomper was around? Mm-hmm. But it was similar enough that I was like, okay, is this what they're all going to be like? Are they all going to follow plots of the movies? And so are you more or less good on this one? So much so that when the T'Challa as Star-Lord episode began, and it began with the same opening, or not the same opening, because it didn't begin with him being abducted. It began with him finding the Infinity Stone.
Yeah, but I think that's how Guardians of the Galaxy starts. So it's just Peter Quill walking on the planet.
Well, it starts with him and his mom being abducted.
Does it start with him there?
with his mom dying of cancer. I'm pretty sure that's how.
No, I think that's how Guardians of the Galaxy 2 starts. No,
Guardians 2 starts with
you're right.
Kurt
Okay,
Russell and the mom
you're right.
driving, listening to what's that song? That's a good song. Brandy, You're a Fine Girl.
Yeah.
He talks about that song a lot in that movie. But anyway, so yeah, Guardians 1, it does begin with him being abducted. I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And then when it's like the credit roll,
yeah,
and the song plays, and we get the "Come and Get Your Love."
Yep.
So, but instead we get T'Challa going in, no dance sequence, but it's enough that you're just like, oh, is this going to just be another recounting of Guardians where he still walks around and he meets all the same people? And it sort of immediately changes it when he says, "You may know me as Star-Lord." And he's like, "Star-Lord?
Yeah.
I love you, man."
Yeah, exactly. Like, he basically spells it out, like, without it even being too, like, obvious in a way. He literally is like, this guy's a legend. Like, the thing that Peter Quill actually wanted to be, which is that he wanted to be a legend, you know, like, because if you watch the beginning of Guardians, when they approach him, he's like Star-Lord, like, famous outlaw, you know, like, he like wishes people knew him that way. And this is like, this guy actually knows him as the famous outlaw, you know, Star-Lord, savior of the universe and all this good stuff. And so I really liked that as well. It makes it really clear, like, no, this is a way to, like, if T'Challa was Star-Lord, everything would be different. Just because T'Challa is who he is. He has the blood of kings, and he is like a leader, and, you know, the charisma and everything that he is. It didn't come from being Black Panther. It comes with him.
But there is a certain extent to, he was old enough at the time of abduction that he was taught some of his culture and some of being good and being like a just person. So he still had that like ingrained like goodness in him. But like, yes, you're right. Like, the core of his character was still enough to like bleed through and like affect other people. So, and like,
to say to that point where you're kind of just saying right there, he was also raised, you know, by two parents and raised to be a king as a prince. So like, you know, given all things, like, you know, taught how to be proper and this and that and speak well, and everything he could have learned up to the age of 10 or something like that.
Yeah. So like, if you plucked little Peter Quill and little T'Challa, one of them was like very well adjusted, but just like wanted to like go out and explore. The other one just lost his mother, was raised with no father, and just like a lot, and like clearly like he was going through like an emotional crisis at the beginning of that movie. Like, he didn't even want to see his mom when she was dying because like he was like so afraid. Like, and that's like the unique difference between the two. One of them goes into this new world afraid. The other one goes into this new world curious. And that will basically change your entire method of operation going forward. And I think, and we see again another immediate difference when T'Challa comes out and is surrounded by all these officers, but this time he's not alone.
Yeah, and Ravages never fly alone.
And we get also, we didn't mention this yet. Chadwick Boseman is voicing T'Challa.
Yep.
And we get, I believe, like the entire cast to come back, which I wasn't sure if that was the case in Captain Carter.
I don't know if Yondu's his original voice.
That's Michael Rooker. It definitely is. Yeah.
His sounded a little off. I know that Josh Brolin is Thanos and Kurt Russell does do Kurt Russell, but I wasn't sure about Yondu. It sounded a little off. I also don't know if Nebula is Nebula.
Yeah. So Peggy Carter is still voiced by Haley Atwell. Chadwick is Star-Lord. Samuel L. Jackson was still Nick Fury. Sebastian Stan is still Bucky.
I did see his name in the credits, so I knew that. Steve Rogers is probably not Chris Evans. Bet.
No, it's not. Michael Rooker's Yondu. Josh Brolin is still Thanos. I did see, and I noticed Benicio del Toro. I noticed Michael Rooker and Benicio del Toro, which is funny because I didn't think that it was Benicio del Toro as the Collector.
Yeah.
I thought his voice sounded different.
I thought Yondu sounded a little different. Like, I didn't think it had quite the it sounded, I don't know, it just sounded a little off, but I guess it is him, you know.
I mean, they got Kurt Russell to do Ego at the end of it.
Yeah, literally 5 seconds. Like, Kurt, hey, can you just come into the studio for like 15 minutes and do like, you know, literally one line?
And Sean Gunn is still Kraglin. And then Karath the Pursuer, who is the dude. I feel like he doesn't really get named dropped in the movie, but he's the dude working for Ronan, who joins T'Challa. He's still the same voice actor, Jimon Honsu.
Wow. See, I didn't think that it was really him either. And it just sounds, maybe it's because I'm watching. It comes different through the sound, whatever, or something. But
this one I did not see in the credits, but I knew it was the same person because his voice is so discernible. Seth Green was still Howard the Duck.
Yeah. What about Taserface?
I actually don't know.
I don't care about Taserface.
No one does. R.I.P. So yeah.
Yondu shows up and, you know, helps him out. Like it was all part of the plan. Kills all the guys with his, you know, his whistle dart. And they, you know, they roll out and they're on good terms. They're like, oh yeah, you know, come on, boy. Like, where are we going to next? And we get this little exchange between them where it makes it clear that like T'Challa is like a very benevolent guy. Like as opposed to like Peter Quill, who was very much, I mean, he was like kind of like he was just like a rogue. Yeah, he was a rogue and a merc that was just kind of doing whatever he wanted for himself. T'Challa is like, you know, helping others is the greatest reward, like, and things like, and Yondu is on the same page. Like, he thinks the same thing. He's like, yeah, you know, and
the rest of the Ravagers, they're good guys.
Yeah, they're all just good people.
Like so much so that he saves the what was it, Korag, he saves the guy instead of like making him his enemy to continue doing bad stuff. And I think like it sort of sets into you that this world is different. But I think the big like mind fuck for me was when Thanos sits down at the table with them. Yeah, precisely. I think everybody was like, what the, you know, when Thanos sits down and we get the little like explanation of like what happened. Oh yeah. T'Challa just basically gave him, you know, that sometimes your best weapon is a good argument. Like, and it's just like, I still think my plan would have worked. It's just genocide, dude. And people keep telling him it's just genocide.
Yeah, and he's like, but it's efficient.
And it's random.
Yeah, it's efficient and it's random. Like, and to say like
that sounds like genocide.
But it's so I don't know, it's just perfect to the idea of like, how do you defeat Thanos like without even having to fight? Like, how do you overcome Thanos like that, right? Obviously, we see what happened, and like if you battled him and attacked him and went through all these things and did this and that. But imagine if you could just justify to Thanos a better way to get what he wanted, what Thanos ultimately wanted. We understand, like he's saying he was just trying to protect the universe. He saw what happened to his own planet and how they destroyed themselves because the lack of resources and all these things. And so he had a grand idea that was like, this is how I'll fix everything, right? He had a noble purpose in his mind, even though it was villainous. But he was like, but it's not, I'm not being evil. I don't want to kill people because I want them to die. I want half of people to die to save the other half.
Yeah.
And so he has a noble purpose in his mind. All T'Challa had to do was just convince him of that there was another way. Like, not tell him like, you know, you're wrong and you're evil for it. And then everybody's just an antagonist to Thanos. Like, you're just trying to stop my grand plan. You don't understand. T'Challa basically probably was like, oh, I get it, man. But what if we did this?
Yeah. And it worked because in this world, Thanos is like, he wants to do good. Yeah.
You see that like clearly, like Thanos wants to do good and he just figured out like, oh, this is the way I can do good. Like, this is how I do it.
Yeah. So, and then we get, honestly, what kind of like made me just pause the TV after the Thanos thing, I was already like kind of wild. But then when we get, Nebula showing up with hair and 2 eyeballs.
Yeah.
Also still voiced by Karen Gillan. Mm-hmm. When she shows up, I was just like, okay, this is wild.
Yeah.
And Drax shows up as the bartender. Mm-hmm. Delightful little moment.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it shows Nebula, I didn't think it was Nebula at first. I was like, is this like one of like the chicks that Star-Lord was like sleeping with that he left in his spaceship at the beginning of Guardians?
Mm-hmm.
And then it said it was Nebula. I was like, oh my God. Because it didn't even occur to me that she would have had hair at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, she was a person. She She looks like she has to be like a Kree person, like the blue skinned people. Kree are the blue skins, right? Yeah.
See, it's the weird thing because Jude Law's Kree, but then also Ronan's Kree.
I think Kree, from what I understand, Kree is not only a race, so the blue skin people are Kree, but it's also like an empire. So like anybody they've conquered are under the Kree. So you can be like different kinds of races or like different species to say, and be a Kree if you're a part of their thing. But if you are the blue skinned people are Kree race.
Yes.
Like Ronan is a Kree race. And I think I could be actually wrong, that Nebula might be also a Kree like racially. And I think Yondu might be a Kree racially.
Possibly, yeah.
I'm actually just saying like all blue people are Krees, so like
Yikes.
Ooh, wow. Everybody that's blue is a Kree now, Robert. Ooh.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, we never see Thanos' favored daughter in this, but we do see one of his daughters is doing well, so we can only hope the best for Gamora.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have to assume, see, that's the funny thing, right? Like, I don't know what timeline or portion, Nebula's adopted, but we know that Gamora being adopted is after he destroys half of her planet. So, and I assume he must have been at moving through that planet at some point, right? But he was not pursuing the Infinity Stones yet. The events of Avengers, like, almost, like, did they happen or not? We don't know. Like, did he send Loki to go there with, like, the Mind Scepter and stuff? I don't know.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so many things that make you just kind of wonder.
But we know that he is, through Ronan pursuing the Power Stone at the time of when this starts.
T'Challa and Ronan was pursuing it still.
Yeah, and Ronan still was for his own means. But before that, it was because Thanos wanted him to bring him the Power Stone.
Yeah,
and I don't know why he would be pursuing it now.
Maybe for the Kree.
Yeah, he's just being Ronan the Conqueror or whatever. I think that's
Ronan the Accuser.
Ronan the Accuser. Yeah, he's probably just being a conqueror of his own type or whatever. But yeah, we have to imagine that like Thanos did. I mean, he must have still like adopted Gamora and probably trained her, but like just didn't spend as many years experimenting on Nebula, which makes me think that T'Challa must have gotten to him like really early. Like he must have gotten it like, and I don't know how old T'Challa is supposed to be, but like, did he like talk to him when he was like a 15-year-old or something? Like,
I mean, yeah, I mean,
maybe when he was 20, and maybe T'Challa is supposed to be like closer to 30 or something.
Yeah, like let's. So that we're assuming that Chadwick and Chris Pratt are represented roughly the same age, and this is like whenever Guardians came out, like eight years ago. I'm guessing they were both in their early 30s at that point. Like, if Chadwick was still alive, and Chris Pratt, I imagine, is currently 40, something like probably early 40s, I would guess.
I'm looking it up.
But yeah, so if he was like in his early 20s with Thanos, being able to stop, because clearly Nebula had some stuff done to her, she just reversed some of it. Like the eye was removed at some point. She got it back because they made notes about the eye, and she still has like the mechanics sitting there. So at some point she was still experimented on, I presume, through a lot of her childhood, which means that Gamora was still a daughter of Thanos, but we knew Gamora wanted out. So we don't know. They did not write Gamora into this plot, so.
Okay, so according to, I just like looked something up online. T'Challa is supposedly born in August 1980. So he's supposed to be like 35 during the events of Black Panther, which does that line up with Peter Quill also being born? Because they're supposed to be looking for a boy the same age.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Peter.
I mean, it would make sense that, he grew up watching like,
well,
Cheers and Melissa.
Born 1980 means that Guardians, he would have been 33, 34-ish.
Yeah, actually, which wasn't a stretch. Like them being that close to the same age, them being in the 30s. That means that like in his 20s, so like 10 years before the plans we're seeing here, before not Infinity, the original Avengers has occurred, T'Challa could have like been like, Thanos, don't do this, stop what you're doing. So I guess it does all track.
More or less.
Yeah, it does all. It makes sense. I'm sure that they, did their own analysis and made sure that it all kind of worked. So,
And if it doesn't, well, let's get back to the plot. We kind of got sidetracked there.
Yeah. So
Nebula shows up with plans to steal this
the embers of Genesis.
Yes, which are like this thing that they could use to basically feed the galaxy and like help like billions of people on millions of planets is what T'Challa said. And then they make another dig at Thanos like, "Oh, all we needed was this. We didn't need to do genocide."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I know, right? Like this thing exists in the universe, and Thanos, with all of his resources, never even heard of it, and wasn't like, "Oh, I could just provide enough resources for everybody." Huh. But yeah, nonetheless, they have this plan, which is like, we're going to help everybody. We're going to get this thing and be able to feed every planet everywhere or something.
And all they have to do is take it from
the Collector. Tavon, tell us something.
Tannelir Tavon.
Yeah, Tannelir Tavon. Who is now the Thanos. He now has the what are they called? The Black Squad or something like that?
The dark... they're not listed in here because they do not matter.
Yeah, the people that serve Thanos, his like 4 like badass henchmen.
See, I was from the movies alone, I just thought of them as other children of Thanos.
Yeah, I think they have a name though. They're mostly like the Black Squad or something.
He calls them something in this, but I didn't hear that be given their name in any of the other movies.
Yeah. But so they serve the Collector now, and the Collector is he's just a big deal, and which like
his collection's a lot bigger than it was in Guardians.
Yeah, from what I understand in like the real comics, like the Collector is like a powerful guy. Like he's a big deal. Like he collects like people and species and all kinds of stuff. So
I was thinking he may be a Celestial, but maybe I'm wrong.
But he has the Embers of Genesis. They sort of put together a plan, and that he at first like Yondu's like, that sounds dangerous. I don't know about that. He's like the biggest threat ever. Blah blah. But T'Challa convinces him and says, "Hey, we got to do this. This is a big deal. We can help a lot of people with this." And Yondu's like, I can't say no to you, boy." And so they enact their plan, and they sort of like infiltrate and sort of get in there, but then like
cause a diversion.
Yeah, cause a diversion, and T'Challa like makes his way through. He releases Howard the Duck, who helps him a little bit, and eventually, as he's walking, he sees a Wakandan, like a Wakandan spaceship that activates with his necklace.
His necklace like goes off because he comes within contact of the Wakandan craft, and he goes on and he sees the message from his father, who was looking for him this whole time. When Yondu had told him that his whole country had been obliterated by war. And so in this moment, he realizes that he still had his family to come back to, and that Yondu had lied to him. Mm-hmm. But Yondu wasn't the only one to lie to him. We get a double cross. Nebula was working for the Collector the whole time to bring him T'Challa.
Oh my God.
And T'Challa is put in a cage, and sad. It's hopeless, and they're not getting out.
Yep. Except it was all T'Challa's plan all along.
Triple cross. Nebula frees the Ravagers from the cell that they're put in, and T'Challa, with his necklace, which serves as vibranium claws, is able to break out of the cage he's put into.
Now, see, I totally get like vibranium claws, so it's able to pierce the thing, but I'm like, what are these cages made out of? Like, are just super glass or something? Like, I mean, clearly it's so strong it keeps a bunch of like powerful-ish creatures from even attempting to escape. But like, he just punches through it with vibranium. Like,
I think vibranium is just it works.
Yeah, this works
because it vibrates on a frequency that shatters the glass.
Oh yeah, sure. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Cool. So he punches out. Then him and Yondu basically engage with the Collector. Like
at first it's just him and the Collector, and we get to see the Collector's little collection. He has Captain America's shield, he has Thor's hammer, he has Hela's freaking
helmet
headdress thing that comes with like the necro blades, he calls them, which
apparently isn't a feature of her head, it's a helmet, so whatever. Like
she takes it off in the movie. We see her with just her hair at times.
Yeah, but I thought like she wipes her head back and it like appears on her head. I thought it was like something she like magically grew. But cool, yeah, it's a helmet. Like, I don't know why that's the most powerful thing. He was like, yeah, I can pull swords out of this helmet infinitely. I'm like, is that the best weapon?
I mean,
I'm like,
he probably is not able to pick up Mjolnir. He probably just has it.
but how does he even have Mjolnir unless, how does he even have Mjolnir? Like, I don't know. I mean, because this could be like even, I don't know.
What if he killed Thor and used Thor's dead body to hold Mjolnir up and move it? Okay.
What if in this universe? No, because that doesn't make sense. Because Wakanda's still intact, so it's like not like Loki. Maybe this is the same. Maybe this is the same universe that Peggy Carter was in, and that. Oh no, because that is a Captain America shield. I don't know.
What if Oh, I'm totally blanking on Thor's dad's name. Odin. Yeah. What if Odin never put the curse on Mjolnir to make it so that only someone who deserves it? Because he does that at the beginning of Thor. He only one worthy of this hammer will be given Thor's powers.
Yeah. I mean, that's also very possible. So I don't know. But
what if?
Yeah. What if? So they're in a battle in exchange, and the Black Guards or the Dark Squad or whatever, they all start engaging the Ravagers, and they're I think like Nebula immediately killed one just to like start the whole thing, and then they're fighting like Proxima Midnight, I think is one of their names, and Ebony Maw is the one that can do like the telekinesis and stuff. I don't remember the big brute one, but yeah, they're battling them. Thanos actually stays behind to fight Proxima Midnight and the big brute, and lets everybody run. And he kind of like has this moment where he's like, "Go, daughter, I'll do it," and stuff. And he's fighting him. And I almost found it a little unbelievable because he's like fighting him and definitely holding him off, but then like is getting beat by them. And I'm just like, I don't know. There's no reason that Thanos isn't still a mad Titan? Like, why is he not able to beat these guys? Like,
I mean, when we saw Thanos, he already had Infinity Stones.
I guess you're right, but he didn't use the Infinity Stones at all. Like, we don't see them, we know when they activate, like they glow and stuff. And he didn't use them at all to beat the Hulk.
I think he had the gauntlet on his hand with the power of the Infinity Stones in a way flowing through him. I don't think he needs to activate them just to have their power. And at that point, he had the Power Stone.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's a valid thing to say. But I doubt it. I still am just like, why? Yeah, I still think he should have been able to beat him up. But I think hey, plot wise, whatever. Like
Nebula comes to rescue him, and we get this nice little father-daughter moment.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, daughter.
T'Challa's still trying to get him into therapy. They need family therapy.
Yeah. So, she helps out Thanos, and she ends up like dropping some of the embers of Genesis in like to beat the brute into like his mouth.
Yeah, and then
it expand into literally like everything. Like he explodes because even to
and then the vines start to grow out of the planet, like just sort of covering everything. The Ravagers get out. Long story short, so Yondu and T'Challa together are fighting the Collector, and they manage to get him into a box, and they've stolen his like little wrist control thing that like controls all the boxes. And at first he's like, "Oh, you better let me out or you're gonna regret it." And then they let everybody out. Yeah,
or they give it to his assistant, who then releases everyone, and then basically like lets
which the assistant is also the one that took out that telekinetic Darkspawn dude,
Ebony Maw.
Yeah.
And she's also one that was in the movies. That ended up grabbing the Power Stone and exploding. So it's like I already like knew that she was going to betray him, because she basically betrays him in the movie as soon as she gets the chance. Like, like, oh, let's
they keep like showing her face like, is this my chance? I hate this guy.
Yep. So they all escape, and it's all like great job. Everything's good.
T'Challa goes off with his Wakandan spacecraft that he found.
Yep.
And then they all decide to venture home to return T'Challa back to Wakanda.
Yeah.
Where his father is currently alive. and they all meet together and they have a good time, and everything looks pretty good. I mean, there's some sadness in T'Challa missing growing up with his family and living in Wakanda. That is a loss for T'Challa on a personal level, and for his family and his people on a personal level.
But I think that T'Challa might, there's like I might have missed this, but I did so much good for the universe. I helped so many things. Like I did so much good that it was worth it. And he got to explore. That's what he wanted. He said, I want to go out into the world, Baba. I want to,
And so this was another what if, where for a lot of the episode, you're just thinking, wow, this is better in a lot of ways. I think this is better until we get
the very last scene where we have a Dairy Queen
where
in the middle of nowhere. And there's a guy mopping up, a blonde haired kid. And in walks, Ego.
I guess he's 30 or something at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be 30 years old working at a Dairy Queen in wherever the hell he was from. No, not Minnesota.
Somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah, somewhere in the Midwest. Arkansas? I don't know. But yeah, and in walks Ego saying like, son, it's good to see you. Oh, and you're not going to give your old dad a higher or whatever. He says like the same thing that he says to him when he meets him like in Guardians 2.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Like, he was still looking for him. And now there's nothing that's ever going to stop him from doing the expansion plan.
I thought it was interesting that Mantis wasn't there. And now I didn't recognize that at the time. But in this moment, I'm like, why isn't Mantis there?
And she's probably just on the ship or something.
Fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, and this Peter Quill will have no qualms with taking over the universe. He is presumably not a lot going for him.
Yeah. Exactly. They'll probably just be like, "Yeah, fuck it. I'm literally a god."
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, he's gonna go off and he's gonna fulfill his purpose with Ego, and they definitely imply that Ego, like, had they not stopped him where they were, that Ego was gonna succeed in his plan.
Here's the thing: is like that is a really like deadly plan right there, because nobody even knew what was happening. It's not like he was like advertising what he was doing and all that. Like the Guardians just happened to know and be people that would stop him. Like the linchpin of his plan was that his son needed to be okay with it for it to all keep going on.
Yeah.
Otherwise it doesn't happen, Otherwise, and Ego he could eventually just go find another seed, right? He would eventually just do that.
And even then, like they needed to stop him at the core of who he is before his plan has been fully like activated. Like the plan is only just starting when they're able to stop him.
Yeah. So it's like exactly like it, and it was so like quick. It was like it'll cover a planet in like minutes, or even an hour. There'd be no time to like, oh, where is this coming from? What is happening? Like there's no like, let's develop a technology that stops this or something. Just there would be just thousands or millions of planets that are all just now Ego's planet, including Earth. Where most of our mightiest heroes come from. Like, and yeah, that is an absolutely like like if there's no one there to stop him, an absolutely fucked plan. And then it's like once he's expanded all these planets, it's like, how are you, even if you wanted to, let's reverse it or this and that, like one, you're not going to get back all the lives that he just destroyed. He probably just like basically destroyed these planets. Like you would have to go find his original planet and then get to the interior, and he's going to know, and he'll probably have defenses and all this.
And he was only taken down by the whole of the Guardians, including Peter Quill with his celestial powers within him.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
which this time you have Ego and Peter Quill working against you, because Peter will have no reason to not work with his dad.
Yeah, or he'll also have like no power to resist now too.
Exactly.
It isn't like this time, his dad's going to be like, well, I killed your mom. And then he gets like the mental fortitude to like break through the thing. He'll probably just be like, all right, son, join with me. Oh, like now we're.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty fun. I don't know if there's really much else to say necessarily other than maybe our final talking points.
Well, I will say that the Watcher seemed to agree with us that this was world-ending implications.
Yeah. And here's my thought is that it's kind of like this is a universe where T'Challa is really great at being Star-Lord, but if we can look at things in terms of like a sacred timeline, right? Like Peter Quill being Star-Lord in the sacred timeline is the timeline where everything doesn't get destroyed and he doesn't join with his dad.
Yeah.
And that's why that's ultimately the better and more like true timeline, because like seriously, unless somebody gets somehow wind, which I don't see why anybody would find out about this, they all just die. Like if they're all on that planet, like anybody that's not in space, they're like all of Earth is destroyed, all Wakanda is destroyed. There's probably no technology that's going to stop the expansion from happening.
Yeah.
And like this, that's just it's bad. It's not good. So, I have a theory.
Tell me your theory.
I think What If fits perfectly into where we are heading with all of Marvel currently, which is into the multiverse, right? And I have a feeling that these What If cartoons are going to lay the groundwork for us seeing some of them emerge. So, like, I think we're going to definitely get some, like, some, like, perfect, like, little crossover moments where later we're going to see, Captain Carter,
I believe,
live action come out.
I would bet on seeing Captain Carter live action. If not for his passing, I think we would see Star-Lord T'Challa. Mm. But with his passing, I'm thinking maybe
a good Yondu.
Yeah, Yondu.
Yeah. Good Yondu, is pulled forward, so we get Yondu back in the future.
My instinct was maybe blonde Nebula, but we have a living Nebula, so we don't necessarily need that for the purposes of like telling a narrative.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's really good. Like maybe not every single episode. I don't think we need to pull someone from every. But I bet that we're gonna get a moment where everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's from like What If?" Like I don't see why they would waste the opportunity to use what are literally alternate timelines. And now that we know Loki is just confirmed. This came out right after Loki. So Loki's just confirmed their alternate timelines. These timelines now exist. If they didn't exist before because they were pruned, because it was like, oh well, we got to prune Captain Carter. This thing happening. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Got to prune T'Challa.
These things are happening now. This is an actual universe because the TVA ain't stopping any of this.
Yeah. The Watcher is watching it. Like he's seeing these things happen and we're just observing with him. So I think that we're going to end up seeing some stuff like that. I think we're going to see some intersections.
Yeah.
Perhaps in the Multiverse of Madness, perhaps in later titles. But yeah.
Here's another thing that came to my mind. Much less important, but maybe it's important. Do you think at this point they're just teasing us with Howard the Duck, or do you think that Howard the Duck is ever gonna like get some sort of like Disney Plus show or a movie?
I think that's completely dependent on whatever the ratings are online. I think that there's some kind of like Howard the Duck was really great. Would love to see him in more things, like sentiment that I've never heard. Then Disney would be like, well, fuck it, let's give it. But like, hey, their resources, they're not just going to put it into a show that not everybody's going to love or is not going to be, easily appealed to. I think
it's just like they keep bringing him back, and like it makes sense because like you keep seeing the Collector, but like. I'm just curious what they could do with it. I think because they're at the point where they could do it if they wanted to. Like nothing's stopping them. They are in control of the cinematic universe, the cinematic multiverse, the MCM.
Yeah, I think money is the only thing that would stop them. Like, I mean, it's just like, what are we going to put our resources into making a show about Howard the Duck? Is anybody going to watch it? Does anybody care? Is the point. Could they do it? Absolutely. Like they could do anything, but is it going to be Howard the Duck that they put their money into?
He could be a Guardian. He could just join the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could just toss him in. It'd be kind of cool or funny and stuff. I think it's easy to just be like, throw him in as an Easter egg. That, is a callback to older, but because I think there's a lot of fans that don't even necessarily look up anything. Like, I just know that Howard the Duck is like a small comic that they made one time, and he made it. There was a terrible movie they made in the
I believe
the 80s or 90s.
It was a George Lucas film.
Yeah. And that's, and so it's like a callback to that. But like some people might just be like, what's with the duck?
Yeah. Oh, is that Seth Green? It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just something that came to my mind. Like because this is now the third time that they've teased him as an Easter egg. At a certain point, it's like, it's hard to tell whether or not it's just reinforcing like that this is still the Collector and the Collector has the duck. But he didn't have to run into Howard the Duck. Like the Collector has a whole collection now. Like he could have ran into anybody, and they keep bringing him. He keeps popping up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This also made me excited for more Guardians. I was when it got to the end and I realized that they never showed Rocket, Groot, or Gamora, I was a little disappointed, but I was like, I mean, if it didn't fit the story, it didn't fit the story. But I was curious what happened to them. What if Rocket is just a raccoon somewhere? And what if Groot's homeworld, he's just still there?
Yeah. I didn't think there was any, like, I think them trying to reach and like pull them all in was like unnecessary. I was fine with it. It would be cool to be like, oh, that's what they're, but like, even just your point, like Rocket could just as easily be a raccoon, or they could just be doing something else somewhere else. Like,
yeah.
Is there any reason they have to interact with them? Not necessarily. Like
Gamora's not being controlled by Thanos, so that's a net good. Drax's family is still alive. That's a net good. And yeah, Rocket and Groot are presumably doing whatever.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. I'm excited by this show.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm super looking forward to everything now. Like I really just like wasn't like even in a priority to watch it. Like didn't watch the first one until the second one was already out. And after this, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm looking forward to these episodes. Now I want to see more. I want to see where the show goes. I want to see if there's an intersection of like a multiversal, what if Avengers kind of thing going on. Like if all these like fractured things are telling some kind of bigger story, like does Captain Carter and T'Challa, Star-Lord, and I don't know whoever else we're going to see in this thing like meet up at some kind of juncture of the multiverse later.
Do you want some indication of characters that will be popping up? Because they have a cast on Wikipedia showing characters that have not shown up yet.
No, I'm good.
All right, yeah, but I mean, generally speaking, we see some of the Avengers, if not all of the.
I mean, I already from trailers I already know like Thor is going to be in it, and we're going to see like the actual Guardians from like other frames, and
not just Thor, Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
Yeah.
The only Avengers that aren't reprising their voices are we have Lake Bell instead of ScarJo and Mick Winger instead of RDJ. But Jeremy Renner voiced Clint Barton, and we have Mark Ruffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sick.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we're seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody in some form.
All of those core 6 Avengers, not necessarily like we might not see an Ant-Man. What if?
But what if we did? But what if the podcast was over?
When does Hawkeye come out?
I don't know. I forgot. It's got to be a couple weeks. We got Shang-Chi in like a week and a half or 10 days or something like that.
It's a Labor Day weekend, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like 2 weeks, I want to say.
Let's go.
Let's go, Shang-Chi. Let's go.
And then Eternals following right up. What a year of Marvel it's been so far.
And then Spider-Man.
Is that this year too?
It's supposedly December.
Oh man.
Because
what? No way.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly.
I forgot about that. This is mind blowing. Yeah, man. It's looking good.
And then Doctor Strange is early next year.
Oh my God.
We're less than a year away from the Multiverse of Madness.
I mean, we're already in the Multiverse of Madness, though.
I mean, but Dr. Stephen Strange hasn't joined us yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More Wanda in that movie. This is Marvel, take my money.
Just take my money.
I mean, Star Wars, you're doing for the most part good, but Marvel side, here you go. Here's my money. Take it.
Yeah. Star Wars, whatever. It's cool.
Yeah.
Mandalorian.
Yeah. That should be coming up soon. Probably December, November-ish.
Yep, Mandalorian Season 3 and Mandalorian Book of Boba.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, you didn't see that at the end of Mandalorian Season 2?
I mean, I know that Boba is going to be in there. I didn't know that there was going to be like a...
Did you not watch the literal end of Season 2? There's a thing where it literally says Mandalorian, the Book of Boba.
I don't recall.
It shows him taking over Jabba's palace. Like he literally goes in there, blasts... Yeah, it's like
Are you kidding me?
Okay, you need to go watch like the...
Is that like an after credit scene?
I think it is an after credit scene. Yeah, you need to go watch that.
Yeah, Star Wars does not train me to watch after credit scene.
Yeah, you silly man. Go watch that.
Wow. And if anybody else was unaware of this, maybe I'm the only one.
Yeah, don't be silly. Go watch it.
All right. And it's him and Ming-Na Wen's character?
Exactly.
That's fucking awesome.
Yep.
And this freaking not Solo show, the Ewan McGregor.
Mm-hmm. Obi-Wan.
Yeah. That dude.
That's a thing.
It's a good time to be a nerd.
Indeed.
All right. Well, let's wrap
Wait,
this
you're
up.
a nerd?
Yeah.
You get out of here. No.
This is my house.
Oh. I'm leaving.
Okay.
Until
Well-
next time, folks. If there is a next time. Because I can't stand the smell of nerds.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, until next time, folks. This has been Robert.
And Ryan.
Have a good one.